Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy Wright, and I am so excited because today I get to share with you a really, really fun conversation that I had with Chris Hogan. Many of you know Chris. Chris is a great friend of mine. He's a Ramsey personality. He's a best-selling author. He's the host of the Chris Hogan Show. He's a retirement and wealth building expert, and you are going to love him like we all do. He's got an amazing voice, so sit tight. Fasten your seatbelt and get ready to learn with my conversation with Chris Hogan. Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy Wright, hanging out with my good friend, Chris Hogan. Chris!
It's so good to be back with you.
Oh my God, well, we have a terrible time. Obviously, we have no fun at all when we get to work together. Now, y'all don't know this, but Chris and I sit next to each other.
Yes.
So we're always cutting up, giving each other a hard time.
They separate us.
Yeah,
they
with
keep
Rachel.
us apart. Rachel's right in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is not much of a separation.
No. She just adds fuel to the fire. Now, Chris, you have a book, Retire Inspired, that has helped millions of people figure out their number, chase their retirement dream, and you are right in the middle of this exciting new book launch. Tell us about your new book.
I know. It's called Everyday Millionaires, How Ordinary People Can Build Wealth and How You Can Too.
Okay.
And so, Chrissy, I'm excited about this. Yeah. This is one of those things where I want people to know the truth. Mm-hmm. That was the goal with Retire Inspired.
That's right.
Because when you know the truth, then you can identify the lies, right? And so many people would say, well, I can't build wealth, or I don't make enough. And I wanted them to know the reality. So here's what we did. The largest study that's ever been done on millionaires. We talked to over 10,000 all across the country. Yeah. And so we got the reality of what's going on and how are people doing it.
Okay, I want to talk about this. Let's just start with the whole topic of being a millionaire. Mm-hmm. Because when you say that, you know, Chris, some people check out. They're that's not me.
Yes.
That's not me. That's my rich uncle.
Right.
That's not me. That's Beyonce.
Yes.
That's not me. That's someone else, right? Like, they have an idea in their head of what it means to be a millionaire, and it seems so unachievable, so impossible. Let's just start with this topic of becoming a millionaire and building wealth, and why did you want to tackle that topic?
Well, for me, I wanted to know the reality, right? I grew up in Kentucky, so I thought to become a millionaire, you had to have a couple things happen. Okay. You had to inherit it, you had to invent something, right? Or you had to have this high income. And deep-rooted in me, I really believe that. Right. And so walking through it, and as I've grown financially and as I've grown in my craft, realizing and seeing it and meeting everyday people, I'm talking about people that are teachers, people that are accountants, people that are middle management that have hit that $1 million mark. Yeah. And how they did it was being consistent, Christy, over time. Yeah. And so there's not a magic formula. There's not one thing to do. Yeah. It's a matter of understanding it's available. And I think when people know that they can do something, you start to look at it different.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I want to get into the tactics of how to build wealth and that type of stuff. But let's start with what you really started with about this idea that people don't believe it's possible. You wanted to get to the truth. I think that's the way you said it. I wanted to get to the truth and look at what's reality. Let's talk about those beliefs, like the beliefs that you had as a guy growing up in Kentucky, the beliefs that many women listening and watching right now might still hold. Let's talk about how those beliefs shape your actions. Because if you don't believe it's possible, you're not going to try, right?
You've hit the nail on the head. And when you believe that you can't do something or that it's not available to you, what it does is it limits our desire, and then it also can limit our effort. Like these ladies you're talking to out here that are running their side businesses. Yeah. These are people that believe in their product or service. Yeah. They know that they're serving clients well. And so I was excited to talk with you because I know they're serving their clients well and their teammates well if they've got any, but I also want them to serve themselves well. Yeah. And by that meaning start to build wealth. Yeah. Put some money aside for you and your family for the future. Yeah. You can do this over time.
Yeah, it's available to you, like you're saying, and you're worth that. Let's talk about that, because I think a lot of times we have this idea that being a millionaire is just so far-fetched, it's just impossible. But also, even if it is available to most people, it's not available to us. It's not available to, I'm just a mom. I just have an Etsy shop. You know, this is a silly example, Hogan, but I have a lot of running examples, which you know, like life is like running.
Very aware.
My listeners are very used to running examples. So here's an example. Let's say I go out for a run and I've got my stopwatch and I'm watching the time. And let's say I run 5 miles and I come back and I look at the time. The time is faster than I'm used to. Sometimes I've had a good run, Hogan, where it's so good and the time for me, for my pace, is so much lower than what I'm used to, I will go back and track it with my car to make sure the mileage was right because I didn't believe I was that fast. I couldn't have run a 7:30 mile. It must be that the watch is broken because I can't be that fast. And I think we have this idea about money. We see, our income report for a certain month or a certain year. We're like, that must be wrong. Maybe the tax accountant got it wrong because I'm not the type of person that earns 6 figures or 7 figures. And we have this idea about who we are. The way that I describe it, Hogan, is we place labels and limitations on ourselves and then we live within them. And if you put a label on yourself and you don't believe you can become a millionaire or what you believe that you won't try.
Well, and I'll tell you this, Christy, you're absolutely right. And the thing that I've found that we've got to be careful of is that nobody wants someone else to put limitations on us. Right? We never like that. And I tell people all the time, I tweet stuff, you know me.
Yeah.
I tweet, accept compliments from everybody, but don't accept limitations from nobody. And I mean that when I say it, but the most deadly limitation is that internal one we put on ourselves because nobody knows you've put it on yourself. Right? And so I think we've got to be careful of that voice in the back of our heads. Got to be careful what we tell ourselves. Right? Because the problem is some of us, if we tell ourselves too many negatives, you can be defeated before you ever get to the starting line. So we need to change our thinking. And that's what started the book. The media reports tell you the American dream's not here, the 1% this, or people, and I kept hearing this and I'm going, that's not the truth. The reality is you've got hardworking people that are consistently investing time after time and they're able to build a net worth over time.
Okay, let's talk about what you mean by net worth millionaire. Let's break that down in the most simple terms. We're not talking about celebrities, we're talking about an average Joe, but what defines a millionaire?
Yes, so first and foremost, a net worth millionaire does not mean you make $1 million a year.
Okay, that's important
Just gonna
because
put
most
that out
people
there
think
right
that.
now.
Most people think that, right?
Christy, we're shutting that down.
That's right.
That's not the truth. Here's the reality. Take what you own minus what you owe. Okay. So what you own, that could be your investments, your house, less the mortgage, all of these things that you own,
all your
less
assets.
what you owe. That gives you your net worth. And so I've got a net worth calculator, a new tool. You know me in tools. I got to get people tools. So
I love it.
you can go to chrishogan360.com, net worth calculator, and it'll get you right there. And you can see and actually
you can plug in your numbers.
And it'll tell you your net worth.
And it shows you how close you are.
Yes, and I like it because I want to know where I stand today because I love to keep score. I'm going to improve. And just like these ladies that are running business, not running business just to do it, they're trying to serve their customers well. But I also want them to serve themselves well, to know that they can do this too.
Well, and humans are wired for progress. So you want to see, here's where I am. I can get to here. And I'd be willing to bet if you guys do this, if you go to chrishogan360/net worth calculator, did I get it right? And you plug in your numbers, you're probably further along than you think. You may have some investments from an old job or something. You put it all together, you might be further along
than you think you are.
To becoming a millionaire.
And you need to see it, right? We keep score on purpose, right? My boys, they were playing a basketball game and it turned out they weren't keeping score. Well, the boys knew the score, right? They were like, Dad, it's 35-20, And it's like, even as adults, we need to know where we are. What's our progress? And so I want people just to believe it's possible. This not reserved, that dream's not reserved for someone else. I tell people the American dream is alive and well, and it's available to you. And that was a big thing to me because growing up in Kentucky, I didn't see a lot of wealth. I didn't see people, doing a lot of big things, a lot of kind people. But seeing that, I always thought when I'd watch TV that that's for someone else. Or, you know what, I wasn't lucky enough to be born into the DNA lottery, right? Or I didn't have a silver spoon handed to me. You don't. What you have to do, regardless of what your parents taught you or didn't teach you, or what they gave you or didn't give you, today we get to make a decision as adults. What do you want for you and your family in the future? And once you decide, nobody can take that away from you.
I love that because like you said, then that shapes your action. Then you're going to try. You're going to go for it. You're going to save that money. You're going to make those investments. You're going to say, how can I increase my revenue this year in my business in order to work toward this goal? Okay, let's talk about some of these myths. We've hit on a few of them from, family to, it's got to be a celebrity. Let's talk a little bit about the morality of money. Let's talk about this because this is a real problem, I think, in our culture, and it still ties into this issue of becoming a millionaire. Not just that, I can't achieve it, I shouldn't achieve it.
Let's talk about this. This is
talk
big.
About it.
And I think it's the mindset of people that don't understand it, right? Like I read a story not long ago of a lady that was on an airplane, and she was talking about how she's a teacher for homeless kids. And she was talking about kind of the heart behind it and what she did. And a lady leaned up and handed her $5 $100 bills. and said, ma'am, I'd like you to take this to the kids. And the lady said, no, ma'am, I wasn't telling the story to get money. And the lady said, I know. That's why I want you to have it, right? And then another person did it, and another. She ended up with almost $1,200 to be able to go back and buy food, right? Well, here's my thing. For people that say that you shouldn't build wealth, I have to tell you, broke people can't help people.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
And we all know somebody that has needed help, and if you've been able to provide it with your time, your talent, or your passion, I want to be able to help other people, right? And so for me, building wealth is not only about taking care of your family, but it's also impacting your community.
That's right.
And so people that say that, they don't understand it, and I think it's because they may believe it's not available to them, and people tend to hate what they think they can achieve. And so what you have to do is to be straight.
Good.
Yeah, you have to be honest.
That's good. I love that. There's a quote, I can't remember who it's by, but it says, no one would remember the Good Samaritan if he only had good intentions.
I've
he
heard
had
that
money
too.
as well.
Yes.
And if you want to help people, or if you want to just pay for your kids' college, or you want to pay for your aging parents that need medical help, or if you just want to take a vacation or build wells in Africa, or you want to run a marathon, you need new shoes. Everything requires money. And I think we miss that it is the common denominator of everything you want to do. And so as you're equipping people to retire and now actually build real wealth, what could they do with that? You know, what are the possibilities?
And I have to tell you, the stories in the book of the people, the giving that they do, and a lot of them are doing it anonymously. I'm talking about from a guy that bought 50 bicycles for a children's home, right? And he was there to be able to watch them get the bikes. He never told the kids it was him. They didn't. He said, I just wanted to see
it.
Right?
That's right.
And so to be able to do things like that and have that kind of impact, or the guy that paid off all the layways, in a local store, went in, wrote a check for 20 grand. Imagine the look on the single mom or the single dad's face who's been coming in making payments to be told that their kid's Christmas is paid for.
That's right.
You see, those feel-good stories, and that's what the book has in there as well. There's stats and there's all that stuff, but the stories about the people, that's what I get excited about.
I love it. I love it. Well, Chris, I know you have some really practical steps on how they do this. So first, let's talk about kind of the profile of what you learned in your study. Okay, so you did the largest research study we've ever done on millionaires. What did you learn about them? Who are they? Like it's not a celebrity, so who are these people that are building wealth?
Okay, so first and foremost, it's not a celebrity, it's not a pro athlete, and it's not a famous musician. Okay? No, not at all. I'm going to give you the top 3 occupations of these millionaires.
Okay. I'm so
you
ready
have
for this.
accountant, engineer, you're not even ready for this third one. Teachers.
No one would have thought that.
Teachers.
Never in a million years.
Right. The most undervalued position out there, right? We all know they're not paid enough. I mean, watching all them kids, I mean, come on now, you know. But to find out that teachers are number 3, how is that? It's because they invested consistently over time in their 403B, which is just like a 401k. They got themselves out of debt. They attacked and paid off the house. And let me explain it this way. You've got somebody that's taught for 25 to 30 years. They've got around $500,000 in their 403B because that's, you know, you're investing over time. But they also paid off their $500,000 house. Remember what I said about net worth? It's what you own minus what you owe. The $500,000 in the 403B, the $500,000 in the house, what you have is a net worth millionaire.
Wow.
So it's possible. You know, it's eye-opening.
That's amazing. It's incredible, too, because I remember sitting in staff meeting when they showed the book trailer for this new book. And you've got this group of people and you're asking them, you know, who inherited money and who are doctors and all these things. And then you say, okay, I want you to cross the line if you are a millionaire. And it was the people that were teachers that were not inheriting money. And Hogan, I got chills like everyone else in that whole room did to see the visual that you portray of what's possible.
It was. I was there, and to see teachers, to see firefighters, to see just regular everyday people. And so that's what I want people to understand. There's not a magic formula. What you have to do is to be consistent. And let me bust some of these myths.
Okay, let's have it.
People say you had to make a big income, right? Had to have a 6-figure income. That's not true. A third. Okay, only a third of the people that we studied never made more than $100,000 in a single year.
Wow.
Okay, never made.
Wow.
Right. So you've got people that are there that are working hard. Right. The average income is around $52,000. Okay,
Yeah.
let me say that again.
Yeah.
Average income.
You would never guess that.
You would never guess. And the other thing is their quality of life. They're just regular people.
Right.
You wouldn't know it.
Right.
They're not flashy. They're not trying to buy the latest, greatest thing.
Which is why they have money, by the way.
That's exactly right. The average cars that they were driving were 4 years old.
That's right.
So these are people that are intentional on building wealth for themselves and their family, but also to be able to help others, not to be flashy. And so we have a great opportunity to help others.
That's good. Okay, so let's talk about how we can do it. Let's talk about what are some steps, what are some things that people listening and watching right now, they're going, how do I do it? How do I start down this path? I'm serious. What can I do?
Well, let me tell you this. The number one tool these people, the net worth millionaires, used to build wealth was their 401k. Okay. So that was them taking advantage of a company match or 403b. For the ladies out there that have businesses, the women, you have an opportunity to utilize something just like that in the form of a SEP, a solo 401k. You've got investment options as well, even though you may not be working with a company.
Right.
You've got an opportunity to meet with an investment professional to do that. Another great thing you have is an opportunity to invest 15%. Right? You've heard this for years. We all know this. But that's what these millionaires were investing. On average, 15% month in and month out over time to help them to get there. So some attributes of these people. All right? They're all hardworking. Sound familiar to these ladies with Business Boutique? You all are already hardworking.
That's right.
They're goal-oriented, right? Setting
Same.
goals. You all set goals as well. This is nothing new. But they're also practice intentionality with their finances. Meaning they budget. They're very intentional. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy nice things. You just don't let the nice things enjoy you. You do it intentionally. And all of them are called just very, very consistent with how they invest. Meaning they don't start and stop, right? This is something they budget for and do it month in and month out. And it's not an accident they're winning, Christy. Intentional people tend to win.
Yeah, we actually had Dave on the podcast a few episodes ago, and the whole episode was about intentional living, and it did really, really well, and it connected with so many women that are going, wow, I'm realizing that I'm not doing this in my life or my business. And I think one of the things we struggle with, especially with ladies in Business Boutique that are getting started, or it's a side business, or it started as a hobby, is they aren't intentional because it started as a hobby, so it's really easy to continue to feel like, oh, it's all bonus money, or I'm going to call it a business but treat it like a hobby, and I don't have to take it that seriously. But what we're saying is, you have the potential to build real wealth, to make a real impact, but that's only going to happen if you get intentional with the money that you're managing.
That's exactly right. It's not an accident that you're running your business. You know you have a quality product or service to help people. Then help people. You know, it's almost you're doing yourself a disservice by not offering your product or service to help people. Right. And it's okay for you to get that fair nickel, not the unfair dime. Charging what you're worth, but there's value in that. And I think when we start to see it and realize what we can do, I don't think there's a limit that can be put on us. When you change your thinking, you can change your life. And I want people to think differently about building wealth. I want these women to think differently about their business, to know, hey, you may not be where you want to be yet, but you're in process. And every day I want you to take one step forward.
Okay, let's talk about what you learned in your study with, we've got teachers that are net worth millionaires. These women, in many ways, Hogan, have an advantage because there is no limit on what they can make. They don't have this, kind of cap of what's standard in the industry for that particular job or position. So let's talk about how they can use their businesses to build this wealth specifically.
No, you hit that nail on the head. As when you're self-employed, nobody's telling you you're only making X. Right? You get to decide with your effort and your actions every day, how much am I going to make? I had a lady out of Arizona who was behind saving for retirement. She was self-employed. And I talked with her and I said, hey, in your pipeline, how about we add a couple deals per month and we're going to call that your retirement dream? And so she just kind of looked at me. I said, no, let's do that every month and let's see how much. She did that. She ended up saving an extra $24,000 a year for retirement. She goes, Chris, I'd never had anybody give me that perspective, right? Because I'm aware that we can put limits on ourselves and you have to be careful of that. And when here's what I want people to do. If you've had a great month or a great year in your business, go get that K-1, go get that income tax statement, and I want you to take a snapshot of it.
Yeah.
Because what that shows you is that you can do it. If you had a great month where you made 5, 6 grand, take a snapshot of that, and I want you to look at that. And I want you to tell yourself, when are you going to do this again?
That's right.
And when are you going to go higher?
Oh, that's good.
And those little motivations keep us plugged in.
I love it. We have a story we've told many times through Business Boutique of Amber Jones, and she came to the first Business Boutique event, Hogan, which was 2015, and she was on the verge of just giving up on any dream entirely. She made like $1,200 that whole year. It was just a side business, and she was like, I'm not sure. So she gets really serious about it that next year, goes out on her own and starts this whole new thing, rebrands, is now making a multi-million-dollar business. And that was just a few years ago. And you look at her and she's like, I'm just a mom. You know, she had this idea about herself, and now she's totally broken that mold and broken that limit. And she, to your point, she's looking at the proof going, I'm running a multi-million-dollar business.
Isn't that amazing? And she was this close to stopping.
That's right. That's right.
And so I want to encourage your viewers to really think about, what are the things you think are possible for you? What are the things you think aren't possible for you? And write those down.
Yeah.
I want you to really look at those and decide, where did they come from? You know, I had some preconceived notions that came from my family. I think some things that I had heard, right? But I didn't realize as an adult, I get to decide. And so we have to let go of some of that old stuff and grab some new things, some things that are encouraging. You know, I've got this dream and this goal of writing a set dollar amount check in remembrance of my grandparents to establish a scholarship fund. Well, nobody's going to tell me I can't do that, right? And so put those things down in writing. And that's what I mean about being intentional. What are you going to do this year? You know, we're in a brand new year. All these ladies, you've got a new opportunity. I don't know what you did last year, but this year is new. So what are you going to do? What's that number you're chasing after each month or each week in revenue? You can do it.
I love it. I love it. And Chris, you really do lay out this plan. So let's talk about in the book, Everyday Millionaires. Let's kind of talk about what are they, when they get this book, what can they expect to kind of walk you through the process?
Well, first and foremost, we're going to debunk a lot of myths. I'm going to tell people the straight up lies they've been told, and I'm going to back it by proof from talking to these millionaires.
That's really powerful.
And it's big. It really is. Then I'm going to show you the stories. I'm going to talk about the stories of these everyday millionaires from all across the country, and you're going to get to hear kind of where they began. One of my favorites in there is a guy that was homeless at one point in time. Like homeless, right? And so 22 years later, he's a net worth millionaire, right? Decisions. Another lady, she came from a terrible family background, was abused, mistreated, I mean, a lot of things. And here she is now running a multi-million-dollar business. And so hearing these stories of people, not only from where they started, but from how they finished, right? And we all start at different points. We all got some things, we all have some baggage, right? We all have some challenges, but it's just the fight. And so I love that. So they're going to have stats, they're going to hear myths, they're going to get truths, they're going to hit stats, they're going to hear stories, and I'm also going to break out these attributes. What does it take for you to start to live out in your life so you can get there too?
I think this concept of attributes is really, really powerful. You know, we had Megan Tampty. She's the CEO of the company Evereve. It's got 80 stores debt-free across the country. It's a women's fashion boutique. And so she was telling us on stage at our event Business Boutique a couple months ago that she struggled when she started her business because when she was in the store was really successful. Many entrepreneurs have experienced this. And then when she wasn't, it wasn't. And what she realized was it was all of these attributes of her that made the business and the store successful. So she wrote them out. Here are the things that I do. And she began to hire toward those.
That's good.
And train for them.
That's good.
And hold them accountable to that, coach toward that. It was like everything from smile at people, call them by name, get on a child's level when you talk to them. All these things that to her were intuitive, but actually made it successful. So I think this is really powerful for people to read these stories and attributes in your book and say, oh, wow, these are the things these people did to become millionaires. I can do these things too.
That's right. And by putting those in about hardworking, being intentional with your finances, being consistent in how you invest, these are things we can decide to do, right? Being goal-oriented.
That's right. That's available to anybody.
We can do this. And so it doesn't matter about your income or your nationality or your background. These are things that we can decide for ourselves and to begin to put them in practice.
I love it. Okay, so I know people want to know where can they get the book and also use let's give them the URL, the website for your calculator again.
If you want to get the information about the book, just go to chrishogan360.com and you'll see it on there. There's a picture of my face on there, right, telling you about the book, which is exciting. But I've got a couple of tools as well. I've got the RIQ, the Retire Inspired Quotient, that shows you how much you're going to need to live your dream. That's a free tool that's there. And then also this net worth calculator for people to start to understand, where am I right now? Where are we as a family? And where are we going? So I love tools because it helps us, again, again, to be aware so we can make the needed changes.
I love it. Chris, before we wrap up, I would love it if you would just address our audience and just leave them with a word of encouragement that they can do this.
Yeah. Well, listen to me. I know you all are working hard. I know you're battling some circumstances other people don't even know, where you're serious about your business. And it may not be where you want it to be just yet, but I want you to look at your business how you want it to be. I want you to view yourself on that level. And I want you to start to treat you and your business how you want it to become. It's powerful when we start to be careful of the words we tell ourselves. And it's real easy for negatives to pop in. My grandmother used to tell me, baby, you can't control what pops into your mind, but you do get to control how long it stays there. So do me a favor. When that doubt pops in or that negative thought pops in, have something positive to replace it. Mute that voice. That negative is not going to help you get to where you want to be, and it's not going to help you serve people well. This is a new year, and you've got an opportunity for a new, better you. Make the decision and work toward it.
I love it. I had him talk directly to y'all for that reason, because if Chris Hogan tells you in his voice you can do it, I mean, you better do it. Like,
I believe in
we're depending on it.
It's so exciting when you have encouraging words. I want to thank you for what you do for these women. Because when good people rally together and you start to believe in what you're doing, it doesn't matter what other people are saying. You get tunnel vision and you stay focused.
That's right. You lock arms and you chase that dream together. Well, Chris, this book is truly going to change the country. You are building millionaires, not just getting people out of debt. Like, this is next level for them, and it's amazing the impact in the world that they can do, but also just in their own family and the freedom. So thanks for writing it. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're ready to get your copy of Chris Hogan's new book, Everyday Millionaires, How Ordinary People Built Extraordinary Wealth and How You Can Too, well, you can get your copy by going to chrishogan360.com or by clicking the link below.